Yo, 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 what's up, all you burner stones and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Fantastic.
I love it. Before Mrs. Weedman and I get normal, I just want to talk about a couple things. I have a voice. I've been allowed to start this podcast and use my voice for freedom of speech. Don't forget, cannabis is still federally illegal. But I still get to come, Mrs. Weedman and I still get to come on this show once a week and still use our voice and our First Amendment right here in this state. And I believe that no one should be chastised, killed, murdered, whatever, for the First Amendment right. There's been a lot of violence in the world going on right now, a lot of violence here in the United States. So many school shootings that we've seen in the last, 2 months already?
Years.
Yeah, but the last 2 months of school just starting, we've had a few. It's just not right. So I just felt very compelled to just say a few quotes from some great people that have been in our history. And so before we get started with our regular show, I just want to read these quotes because I believe in love versus hate. I believe that we need to be kind to one another. I just believe in love, and I love you all out there. So I'm just going to read a couple of these quotes, and hopefully they help instill some love into you and some light during all these trying times that we're going through in the world right now. So first off, Abe, good old honest Abe Lincoln. We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic chords of memory will swell when again touched, as they surely will be, by the better angels of our nature. And I added a little quote next to it called, "Life is too short to hate all the time." Martin Luther King Jr. A quote on hope. When our days become dreary with low hovering clouds of despair, and when our nights become darker than 1,000 midnights, let us remember that there is a creative force in this universe working to pull down the gigantic mountains of evil, a power that is able to make our way out of no way and transform dark yesterdays into a bright tomorrow. John F. Kennedy. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for our future. Malcolm X. It is a time for martyrs now. And if I'm to be one, it will be because of brotherhood. That's the only thing that can save this country. You know, he said that 2 days before he was murdered. Robert F. Kennedy Sr. What we need in the United States is not hatred, but is love and wisdom and compassion towards one another. John Lennon. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Be nice if we finally got some peace in this world. I don't think in all of our years this Earth's been around, I don't think there's ever really been peace. When humans have been on it, it's always been some kind of war, fight. So John Lennon, all we're saying is give peace a chance. George Floyd, where we all walked in solidarity for a man that was murdered. I just remember that video of him asking for his mother for help before he died. Medgar Evers, he was a civil rights activist. You can kill a man, but you can't kill an idea. His second quote is, freedom has never been free. Gandhi, he's got a bunch here that I liked. You ready? You must be the change you wish to see in the world. An eye for an eye only ends up making the whole world blind. In a gentle way, you can shake the world. This was a big one for me. God has no religion. Hate the sin, love the sinner.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ, the GOAT. The greatest commandment, love the Lord God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Love each other as I have loved you. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God, trust also in me. And the last one. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. All of these people told us, and there's plenty more I didn't mention, so many more around the world. But all of these people that I've talked about, use their quotes or others out there, all told us to live in harmony and try to love one another. And all these folks here on this list, and probably a ton more that I haven't mentioned, they were all taken out because all they wanted to do was to love, not hate. Mrs. Weedman, you got anything?
I think that we're just in such a divided time in the world. And yes, the last couple of weeks have been exceptionally intense, but historically, it's been intense. And like you're saying, I don't think there's ever been a point in our lives where there's been complete world peace. There's always upset, unrest, war somewhere. There's always turmoil somewhere. We're a big society. We're a big world. Well, not even a world. We're a big earth. And all we can do is be better us. We can be a better individual and control how we put our energy out into the world. Can't control anybody else. We can't make anything effectively different that's, already happening. But we are a voice, and that voice can change the world. That may sound like it didn't make sense. But what I'm saying is, yes. I mean, you just have to put one foot in front of the other, be positive, be caring, just gestures of kindness. Don't pass along hate, pass along love. It's pretty easy. I find hatred and anger difficult, like to keep moving along in. It takes energy and thinking to stay mad at somebody. At least for me, it does. It doesn't take energy and thinking to be nice to somebody. So at the most simple level, just be nice.
Well said,
and
Mrs.
love
Weedman.
your neighbor.
As you love yourself.
That's right.
Well said, Mrs. Weedman.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Weedman had a little bit of a nervous breakdown last night. Mrs. Weedman, I think all of this that's been going on last night in bed, I broke down and cried very, very hard. And it's been very hard for me the last few weeks with everything that's been going on. And I broke down in bed last night. I think I just had a friggin' nervous breakdown last night. So, and as I read, bring all who are weary and burdened, and tonight I'm going to get some rest in bed. And I love you all out there. And I know Mrs. Weedman does too. And we bring you these quotes in a sign of love, and a sign of peace, and a sign of compassion. And just to know that we're here using our voice to be able to spread good word, positivity through cannabis, because we love this plant so much, but we use this platform in a positive way to make sure we bring the good word so we make you happy each day. If we can give you a little bit of laughter, if we can give you a little bit of kindness, if we can give you a little bit of love through this show while we get baked and you get baked along with us, and it makes you smile and it makes you laugh and it helps you learn, then we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and what we were put on this earth to do. And that's to bring light and fun and joy and happiness and kindness. And this is what we need in this world right now. All those words. And if we can just go out there and just be kind to one another, the world will be a better place. I'm not saying you're going to be perfect. None of us are. None of us are perfect. We all fuck up. We all do. Many a times I fucked up. I'll be the first. You could throw your stone at me because I fucked up so many times in my life. And I just want to let you know that I love you all with peace, with joy, with love. Are you ready to get normal, Mrs. Weedman?
I'm ready.
Let's get normal. We're going to start the show as normal. So I'd like to thank our friend Ignius for throwing to the cause. I feel a little bit lighter right now because we're going to get normal. And I'd like to say thank you, Ignius, for the Flavor Burst, which is an indica dominant hybrid, a cross between Baker's Dozen and Gas Nana. It is known for its intense and sweet flavors, often described as donuts and gas. And I swear, when I was grinding this, I swear I was just eating a glazed donut. When I was grinding this up, I swear it just tasted it in my nose. Explosion with fruity, citrus, and pine notes. The strain provides calming, euphoric, and relaxing effects, with some sources listing it as a sativa-leaving hybrid sometimes with a sativa-dominant tendency, depending on who's writing this. The flavor profile, intense and sweet, like donuts and gas. The fruity with notes of citrus and pine. Creamy aroma with sweet fruits and a grassy undertone. The effects are calming and relaxing, euphoric, happy, and can provide focus and creative stimulation. Usually rounds out about 27% THC content for some growers. So this is Flavor Burst grown and given to us, donated to us by our friend Ignius. Thank you, Ignius.
Thank
and
you,
now,
Ignius.
Mrs. Weedman is going to tell you a little bit about 8decades.com.
Yeah. 8 Decades cannabis lifestyle brand. If you don't know about us, check us out at 8decades.com. Spell that out, EIGHT. And there you will find all of our products. And I am like a big Bravo TV watcher because I'm not much of a TV watcher. It's more like background noise. And if I can just catch a couple seconds here and there, I'm satisfied. So I don't like shows where you have to like stay like,
Fully
in the plot.
engaged.
Yeah. So it's good background TV. All of these crazy housewives who are just nuts. Ignius, thanks. I'm totally baked.
Already?
I've lost my thoughts. Where was I going?
You were talking about Bravo and being
Bravo.
senseless TV.
Senseless TV.
Talking about 8 decades.
Talking about 8 decades. Hey.
I'm not stoned yet.
Well, all of these women, these housewives already have shit tons of money. And then the show makes them even wealthier because then they start brands and they start this and they start that and they escalate their careers even further. Thank you, Bravo. And one of the women has a jewelry line. And one of the friends came to her and said, word around town says that all you're doing is buying your product on Alibaba. You're going to go down. Like, you can't call your products luxury. You're just like buying crap and, putting good packaging on it and making it a luxury product. And it's not good. It's not good. And I've thought about that before. Like, I wonder if people realize that we really developed this brand. So here I am circling back.
Yep.
8 decades. So we really did. We tried. This was like during COVID. Our ideas for this business came about. The name came about, and pen to paper started happening. And then it was, how do we turn this into something?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I could learn CAD overnight in the middle of selling real estate during COVID. Yeah, that didn't work out so well. So we ended up meeting up with 2 young product engineers, a product industrial engineer and a product developer in Chicago. And together we worked at M-Hub, which is a incubator society for people in the world of engineering and product design. It's an incubator facility with all of the things that you need to manufacture, from paper to finished product. Mm-hmm. It's a very cool space. We went there, we had a membership. I thought I could do all of this on my own, and time was just not allowing for that to happen. So we met up with these 2 young guys, Tyler and Zach, and they were phenomenal. They got our ideas onto paper, they got it into CAD, they got it into 3D printing, and then we got into manufacturing. So
a lot of meetings.
There was a lot of meetings and a lot of time, but that evolved into our smoking set. And then once we had the smoking set, it was like, I don't think I want 8 decades just to be a smoking set. I think I want it to be a brand.
A rolling tray, an ashtray.
Well,
and a
no,
tool,
I wanted
right?
it. I didn't want it just to be that set.
Right.
I didn't want it to be items. I wanted it to be a brand.
Yep.
So then that became, all right, what are going to be our complementary products to go along with this? How do we roll out the doors? So then we brought in our steamroller, my favorite steamroller. We brought in our storage jars, our hemp clothing, and all sorts of little things. And we also brought in some swag for Weedman 420.
Yay.
So head over to 8decades.com after that very long-winded commercial. That would be expensive airtime. Good thing we have our own show. So head on over to 8decades.com and check out our products and support us. You can also support the Last Prisoner Project there by donating upon checkout, and those proceeds, that money goes straight to the organization. So check us out.
Yep. And don't forget, next week, September 23rd and 24th at the Garrity Flower Expo, Chicago, Illinois. Second time around. And Mr. Weedman will be there most likely on Tuesday. So if catch you, I might have an edible for you if you find me. So check out Flower Expo, September 23rd and 24th at the Garrity. I think that's over in the Pilsen neighborhood. So off of Hoyne. So I will be there on Tuesday, probably all day. Hopefully very baked. So come check me out. I'll be hanging out, walking around, talking to people, bringing the vibe, and having some fun. Unfortunately, Mrs. Weedman has to work that day. Bummer. Yep. She no fun. She a party pooper. Mrs. Weedman, you ready to get the show started?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. Vaping versus smoking cannabis. What's the difference? And we've talked about this on the show multiple times, but I'm doing a review lately because I've been meeting a lot of new people coming to cannabis. And this one part of the show, I met this older than me. I call everyone young, but they were an older couple, just retired, and they had never tried cannabis before. They were getting into their cannabis journey. So I'll get into them a little bit later, but I want to go into this. Vaping versus smoking. You ever wonder why some people swear by lighting up while others ain't caught a match in years? Just presses buttons on a device. Or how vapes and joints feel completely different even though the goal is the same. The sweet cannabis high? Well, this article from Vice breaks down real nice. I pulled out all the good stuff so you know what to expect, whether you're team smoke or team vape, or just somewhere in between. So there's some technical differences. First off, combustion versus vaporization. Smoking means high heat combustion, burning weed, whether in a joint, bowl, or blunt. The smoke you inhale, that's a whole lot of stuff. Ash, carbon, all that byproduct of burning. Vaping, on the other hand, heats herb or concentrates, more precisely, below combustion temps. Think vapor, not smoke. It's gentler, less harsh to the lungs and throat. And that depends. I beg to differ on this article a little bit, so I like to argue a little bit. I've smoked some vapes where my fucking throat was killing me and it was on fire.
Oh, almost every time for me.
So,
I'm not burning on fire, but yes, I always get a sore throat after a vape.
Depending on how hot you have the device. Now, we don't get that when we smoke hash rosin. I get that when I smoke distillate. And I think it's because sometimes when you can't lower the temperature down, your throat.
Too harsh.
So devices like dry herb vapes stay under 450 degrees. Many oils or wax vaporizers or even lower temps. Some people like it hot though, like real hot. I've seen people do some hot dabs and get ripped. So how each high hits. Now, how do they feel? Here's the breakdown. Vapes often hit faster because concentrates are potent and they deliver is more direct. You might feel things quicker through length of high. Maybe not as long lasting or as heavy as a big joint or bowl. Smoking gives you a full spectrum flower, terpenes, cannabinoids, entourage effects. It tends to be more robust, deeper, more sedating. Maybe a heavier body high. If you want that cloudy head feeling, smoking usually brings it. There's also flavor. When you smoke flower, you get more of the natural taste. Vaping can introduce flavoring or preserve more subtle floral, herbal notes depending on devices and materials. Experience ease and convenience. This part's kind of crucial because we all want our sesh to be smooth, not a chore. Smoking, traditional ritualistic grinding, rolling, packaging, cleaning glass. All that prep can be part of the vibe, but it takes effort. Maintenance, got ashtrays, resin. Sometimes the smell lingers a little bit. Harshness, etc. Vaping, cleaner, more discreet sometimes. Less smell, faster dissipation of vapor. Hits more immediate, less harsh on the lungs. Like I said, I kind of beg to differ on that just a little bit. Devices need charging, occasionally cleaning or unclogging, but overall a lot less mess. Cost and efficiency. Money talk. We got to have this talk. Vapes, especially with potent concentrates, can give more bang per hit. Use less material to get high because of efficiency. But vaping habits can creep up because it's discreet and easy. Some people end up vaping more frequently, which can cancel out your savings. In this state, vaping is expensive. You go buy yourself a 2-gram vape cart with the taxes, you're walking out at $120, $130. Unless you can find something cheaply on sale, but 2 grams are expensive right now in this state. There's also device cost. A good dry herb vaporizer or quality concentrate setup ain't always cheap. Compare that to rolling a joint or blunt, which while using more material often requires less gear. There's some health risk. This is important shit. Got to keep it real with y'all. Inhaling anything besides oxygen has a risk. Some carries combustion byproducts. Vape may be lighter on the lungs, but not risk-free. Studies so far suggest vaping is slightly safer, but the long-term effects aren't fully known. Could flip in the future. So, choice is about trade-offs. Do you want quicker hits and discretion, or flavor, tradition, heavier, full flower effect? I know what Mrs. Weedman would say on that one. Me, I see kind of both sides. Smoking carries the nostalgia, the ritual, the full sensory trip. Lighting up, feeling the smoke, hearing the crackle. That's rooted in tradition. Mrs. Weedman and I love to smoke joints. But vaping, it's the future too. It's less harsh, more flexible for certain settings. You know when you gotta be low key. If I'm kicking it chill with friends, smoking is absolutely perfect. If I'm out somewhere and I gotta be a little discreet, especially in states that aren't legal, or don't want to blow up the room with my loud that we grow here and from what I get from Ignius and all my friends, I'll roll with the hash rosin vape. And has to have a ceramic coil. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. Smoking equals combustion, deeper flavor, heavier high, more ritual, fun times. Vaping, lower temps, faster hits, more discreet, possibly more efficient, but still with cost and potential risk. At the end of the day, there ain't a one-size-fits-all. It's about what feels right for you, what fits your life, your budget, and your vibe.
I do wish that I had a vape yesterday. I was flying. I traveled for about 36 hours. And then my flight home was, 2 hours delayed?
Yeah.
3? I wished I had a vape. I had some joints that I may have brought on the airplane with me. And I really considered smoking one before I went in the airport.
Should've.
I just couldn't figure out where I could do it.
Could have went.
Like, I didn't even see people smoking cigarettes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That sucks.
I was like, I can't even blend in.
Right.
Bummer.
That
would have been a good, but I would have wanted the good rosin with the coil.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
High Times Guide to Talking Sex with Your Partner while smoking weed. Tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
Yep.
I give Mrs. Weedman all the sex talk stuff.
Yeah, he does. He likes to throw this my way. And then he likes to laugh while I read it. Why is it that sex is so weird to talk about? Like, is it
I don't think it's weird to talk about.
Is it like when we were growing up, the only religions that existed were Catholic and Catholic, right? That was it.
Yeah, that's what they told us.
You were Catholics and you were publics.
Yeah.
That was just kind of how it was, right? So, do you think that our like stigmatized brains about the topic of sex are because we grew up in the Catholic?
I think you.
Yeah.
Bronx,
maybe it's a girl too.
In the Bronx,
versus
New York,
a
where I
guy.
grew up, everybody talked about sex.
My God, nobody. I mean,
Everybody in the Bronx, New York,
in
talked
code,
about
people
sex.
talk about it, but not using the words.
No.
And
I mean, we were the streets were the streets in the Bronx. I mean, people. I mean, I was
like a
hearing
little
stuff.
hood rat.
Oh yeah, I was hearing stuff that I shouldn't have heard, and I was seeing stuff I shouldn't have seen at a very young age.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's different. But the reason why I give you all of the sex talk stuff is because nobody wants to hear a guy
You
voice.
talk about it.
I want to hear you talk about it in your sexy, sweet voice.
I do not have a sexy voice.
I think you do.
My froggy, raspy.
I think it's sexy.
All right. High Times Guide to Talking Sex. Oh, I should get quiet. High Times Guide to Talking Sex with Your Partner. Shh. While smoking weed. Well, wine. Okay, come back, Susan. Wine loosens the tongue. Weed sets you free. After a few puffs, many feel more relaxed, more introspective, or even start to open up emotionally. The right setting, next to the right person, can lead to deep, loving, and sometimes wild conversations. Smoking weed as a couple often helps you tune into each other's feelings, making it easier to touch on topics that might otherwise be hard, if not downright impossible, to discuss. Shared goals, a deeper meaning to a relationship, fears, insecurities, alternative futures, projects you want to lock in, wild, uninhibited sex, or even a vow of celibacy, stuck topics that never seem to move forward. In that space, the what ifs can easily become a reality. Marijuana can push the imagination's edges and spark new emotional connections. So, what about sex, desire, fantasies, and boundaries? Of course, not everything has to be so solemn and transcendental. Smoking weed as a couple can also ignite crazy conversations about past lives, conspiracies, and all kinds of absurd, hypothetical twists and turns. What was the last song you played on your Spotify? What do our pets really think of us? Do we have a doppelganger somewhere else in the world? What happens if you mix Coke and Mentos? What do the stars say about our relationship? And those what ifs, like, what if we ditch our city life and go grow coffee in the Bolivian mountains?
That sounds wonderful.
I think so too.
When you're ready, I'm coming.
Let's go. Experts say that cannabis can boost empathy, but also paranoia and anxiety. That's why they suggest keeping the tone easy, respectful, and open-minded. Health pros don't always recommend it for conversations that need a certain level of seriousness or sensitivity. Basically, it can alter your emotional state. And in that sense, it's important to remember that we're all different and weed won't replace the emotional work that we can do while sober. Topics to talk about while getting high? Good question, says Martin Resnick, seduction expert. How about that? He's a seduction expert. And he's the director of Levant Art, an Argentine academy dedicated to social skills, coaching, and seduction since 2008, and director of the Cannabis documentary, A History of Prohibition. He said, I'd say one of the best, if not the best, is sex, a topic that's rarely discussed. How many people have sex in silence without exchanging a single word? Many people are embarrassed to talk about it, though, with their partners. And on this topic, the research is crystal clear. Those who talk about sex openly have better sex, more satisfaction, more orgasms, and more connection. In his latest book, The Orgasmic Gap, Resnick cites a wealth of studies showing how communication enhances pleasure. Light up a joint, and our mind, body, and spirit can break from routine. With that shift, we allow ourselves to ask certain questions, play, and even fantasize. All the things that, while sober, may sound solemn or forced, can feel lighthearted, Resnick says. A word spoken with complicity can awaken a whole host of fantasies and open up new worlds, he continues. Although it may seem hard to believe, sex, its tastes, the fantasies, your preferences, that remains a topic that not all couples dare to bring up. The taboo still lingers. That's why I think a joint can be an entry point, Resnick states. Of course, it depends on how it hits you and on how well you know yourself and your limits. That's something almost all of us share. No one smokes weed the same. We smoke to swap gears, to relax the body and mind, to see and say things differently, and that small shift changes everything. Maybe what you held back at one time slips out with a smile between hits, and the other person hears it differently too, because they're there with you, floating on that same cloud, Resnick muses. And that's where the magic happens. as the expert assures. Desire is also learned through words. He suggests using language that connects, invites, and ignites. If weed helps you say what you don't dare when you're caught up in your daily routine, then it's a welcome lubricant for words. Sometimes, amidst so much silence, a well-spoken phrase can be more of a turn-on than any toy, cream, or erotic lingerie. And if that's not enough reason to light one up, I don't know what is, he concludes. So honor both, the joint and the person, with a conversation worthy of the moment. Make it fun, make it hot, reclaim playful conversation, and sculpt that delicate stone of truth that you both can carve together.
Carve it out together.
Carve it out. Smoke it up.
See, Mrs. Weedman, I love when Mrs. Weedman does the good talks like that. It's pretty good. Cannabis use linked to stronger emotional response, but also better recovery in people with anxiety. So this is from SciPost. Cannabis used linked to stronger emotional responses, but also better recovery in people with anxiety. Research done by folks at the University of Colorado Boulder. They wanted to know, for people who've got at least mild anxiety, what happens to their emotional reactivity and recovery when they use cannabis over time. And actually, also do different kinds of cannabis, THC dominant, CBD dominant, or mix 1-to-1. Make a difference. But because, in the cannabis world, what kind matters almost as much as that you're using. Who and how? Here's how they rolled it out. There were some participants, 499 adults from Denver, Boulder area, mild anxiety symptoms, no psychosis, or substance disorder history. Majority were women and well-educated. There was some groups, THC dominant users, CBD dominant users, 1-to-1 THC to CBD mix users, non-use control group, those not using cannabis. So the procedure, over 4 weeks, the use groups bought their assigned kind of cannabis, flower or edibles, used as desired. There were 3 crucial sessions: baseline, after 4 weeks, and then right after using cannabis or waiting for non-users. They did a negative effect induction task, recalling a stressful memory, plus breathing exercises to help emotional recovery, mood ratings, heart rate, stuff like that. What they found, the duality. Here's where the dual effect shows up: strong response and better bounce back. That's messy, interesting, and real. Reactivity. How hard you feel the negative stuff. The people using any kind of cannabis generally had more pronounced emotional reactivity when put through the stressor compared to the non-users. In short, the hurt, the cringe, and the emotional punch felt more. Also, heart rate spiked more in THC or THC plus CBD users after the acute use. CBD only folks and non-users didn't show the elevated psychological reactivity. Recovery. How fast, how well you come back down after the spike. Cannabis users also recovered emotionally better in the breathing relaxation task than non-users. So despite feeling more when things go bad, they bounce back more. Recovery and mood was faster than recovery and heart rate. So your feelings might chill quicker than your body does. There's a time factor. Quick sip, I got some cotton mouth going on. Over the 4 weeks, reactivity or recovery didn't really change the users. Example, people didn't get more reactive or more resilient over time in a statistically different way. The acute extended effects were fairly consistent. Key nuances and limitations. Got to keep it real. Every study has its shadows. Expectancy effects. People knew what kind of product they were using. They can affect mood and perception, which complicates figuring out what cannabis did versus what you thought cannabis would do. Dosage versus frequency. Not perfectly controlled. Use was self-directed. Some might hit once, some many times. Different amounts, different potency. That means results are a bit noisier. Neutralistic settings. Good in that this is closer to real life than a lab, but also introduces variability. Also, participants had mild anxiety, might not generalize to more severe cases. Might take some thoughts. All right, here's where I lean into this vibe. The study's dope because it matches what a lot of us feel. Sometimes weed makes us feel heavier, but also helps us get through it. It's not always about numbing or escaping. It might be about processing. And I've talked about this so many times when people say they get paranoid on weed. I said, no, that's just your brain trying to process some shit that you need to get out of your system. And I've been saying that for a long time. If you're someone with anxiety and maybe a THC heavy hit will hit more aggressively when things go sideways. But the same hit might help you land once you ride it out. If you lean towards CBD or more balanced blends, you might dampen the heart rate spike, the panic, at least psychologically, but maybe not get as intense of a ride when the bad moment comes. It trades off here and there. What this means practically. Know your product, know your ratio, know your setting. If you expect stress or anxiety, you might prefer something more balanced or look for lower. Just if you want to do straight THC, go lower. Start low, low, low. How low can you go? 12%, 14%. I know they're hard to find, but they're out there. If you can handle heavier, hits then warrant more emotional processing. THC might give that, but be aware of the risk. Also, combining practices matters. Breathing, mindfulness, setting context. The study used breathing tasks, which help recover. So cannabis and good coping tools might amplify resilience. Here's the take-home message. Let me wrap it down so you leave with the no. Stronger emotional reactivity associated with cannabis use in people with mild anxiety, especially with THC. Better emotional recovery too, at least with mood emotion. Less so with heart rate or psychological markers. THC brings psychological effects, heart rate up more than CBD alone. Over time, 4 weeks, patterns stay similar. Not huge changes in reactivity or recovery earnings just from the regular use, per this study. Use and setting matter. What you use, how often, your mindset, what else you do, breathe, relax, all play into how cannabis affects your anxiety. Low dose is always clutch, but always remember, I've talked about that before. Your mind, cannabis gets you going. It makes you think. It helps try to fix your system, your endocannabinoid system, whether it could be mental, physical, emotional. Cannabis is there to help you. Learn to use it and adjust your dosage so it will get you through what you need to get through. Miss Weedman comes home from work. She looks forward to that joint.
I sure do.
Right? A day of anxiety-driven real estate is not easy. A lot of work goes into what you do. From 9 to 5, you're up out of this house. You're trying to get deals, moving and shaking, drinking coffee because you're a closer. You know, coffee's for closers. Everybody, don't forget that. You know, and you come home and you look forward to that joint because it helps bring you down. It helps take away all the shit that's out there.
It's like a mind shift. Work's over. I can just let my mind relax a little bit.
Yep, I love when Mrs. Weedman smokes. I just see just like a breath of fresh air to her. You just see her take out a breath. Here's some fun stuff. Old wives' tales. I'll give you one. Don't eat and go swimming.
Oh my gosh. My grandmother. We had to eat lunch at lunchtime, and then you couldn't swim for a half hour. Maybe it was even an hour.
It was always an hour.
Yeah. And you just have to sit there. There was nothing to do. You just had to sit there and stare at the pool.
Some people said they debunked that, but here's the thing.
Taken naps.
When you should have. You probably would lay out in the sun.
I did not know how to take a nap.
The thing is, though, it could happen to some people because all of your energy is being focused and your muscles are being focused on digesting that food. So it leaves you a little...
like, bleh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what sometimes happens. I think it was debunked, but, you know, depends on what you read. So here's something, though. Cannabis myths debunked, separating science from the old wives' tales.
Yes.
Tell us about Ms. Weedman.
As cannabis has become more mainstream, it's essential to separate fact from fiction. There are numerous myths surrounding cannabis that can lead to misconceptions and misunderstandings. Let's debunk some of the most common cannabis myths, strengthened with some scientifically backed information. Myth 1. You can overdose from cannabis. One of the most persistent myths is that cannabis overdose is possible. Contrary to common belief, research indicates that you cannot fatally overdose on cannabis like you can with many pharmaceuticals and other substances. In fact, Numerous studies, not one, not two, numerous studies have shown that while you may experience uncomfortable symptoms from ingesting too much cannabis, such as anxiety or paranoia, the effects are rarely severe or long-lasting. The National Institute on Drug Abuse supports this, noting, do you hear that? The National Institute on Drug Abuse. That's a government organization.
Yeah.
The same government that tells us not to have weed. Yep. They support this, noting that the body has a built-in mechanism in the endocannabinoid system that protects humans against lethal doses of THC. That's the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Says that we have a little switch in our endocannabinoid system that doesn't allow you to OD on THC. As we demystify this myth, it's important to know that understanding dosage is key. Responsible use, especially among beginners, involves starting low and going slow. Engage with educated dispensary staff or trusted resources to guide you in finding the right balance. Myth 2, cannabis leads to addiction. Watch out, folks. Many believe cannabis is highly addictive, yet studies show that while it can be habit-forming for some, the addiction rates are significantly lower than those associated with alcohol, nicotine, or other drugs. Again, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, about 9% of cannabis users might 9% might develop a dependency. 9% might, compared to 32% for tobacco. But that's legal. Furthermore, it's important to recognize that addiction is a complex issue. Factors such as genetics, mental health, social environment, they all play a crucial role in individual susceptibility. For the majority of users, cannabis brings enjoyment, relaxation, and even therapeutic benefits without leading to addiction. This myth often stems from fear-based narratives that overlook the real experience of millions of people. By focusing on education and understanding user experiences, we can help redefine perceptions of cannabis. Myth 3, marijuana kills brain cells. Remember those fried eggs, kids? This is your brain on drugs. A common misconception is that marijuana kills brain cells. Well, research suggests that while THC can impact short-term memory, it does not lead to the death of brain cells, and in some cases may even promote brain health.
That's why I'm so smart.
The misconception often arises from the way individuals remember their usage experiences. Because you feel like a sloth, so you think, oh, I must have killed some brain cells, right? Well, studies indicate that moderate cannabis use may not harm cognitive abilities, and some findings suggest potential neuroprotective effects. For example, cannabinoids have shown promise in reducing brain inflammation and may even aid in neurogenesis, the process of generating new neurons. Correcting this myth empowers users to explore cannabis therapeutic It's like part of its vision, like, because my eyes are stoned. Correcting this myth empowers users to explore cannabis's therapeutic potential. There you go. It's essential to cultivate a narrative that prioritizes science and encourages responsible research into cannabis impacts on the brain. Myth 4, cannabis use equals impaired function. Well, while cannabis can impair certain cognitive functions in the short term, many users can maintain jobs and manage daily tasks effectively. It's important to understand the balance between usage and function. Many individuals are able to adapt to the effects of cannabis and find ways to incorporate it into their lives responsibly. Interestingly, some studies suggest that cannabis users may develop beneficial coping strategies for managing stress and anxiety, ultimately allowing them to perform better in high-pressure situations. The key lies in individual tolerance and understanding one's limits. Reframing this myth to acknowledge that responsible usage does not automatically equate to dysfunction can help normalize cannabis use in various aspects of life. By fostering open discussions about functional users, we can diminish stigma and we can promote educated decisions.
There you go.
Myth 5, all cannabis is the same. Well, no, it's not. All cannabis strains are created equal. No. Variations in THC and CBD levels can lead to different effects. It's crucial to understand the diverse types of cannabis available and their unique properties. In fact, the cannabis plant contains over 100 cannabinoids, each with its own set of effects and potential benefits. For instance, while high THC strains may induce euphoric experiences, high CBD strains offer therapeutic effects without the intoxicating high. Understanding these differences empowers users to select strains that meet their needs, whether for relaxation, creativity, or pain relief. As we highlight this myth, let's encourage exploration and responsible experimentation. Understanding the truths about cannabis can empower you to make informed decisions. By debunking these myths, we not only clarify the science behind cannabis, but also encourage a more open-minded discussion about its uses and effects.
There you go. Debunk those old wives' tales. You hot?
I'm melting over here, having a little hot flash.
I was doing an event on Saturday out in Plainfield, and I was talking to a very nice couple that came in. They were a husband and wife. They were probably retired, and they came into the shop and they looked not confused, just
like it was a new experience.
New experience. And they walked by and I said, "Hi, how you doing?" You know, they said, "Hi." I said, what are you doing here?" They're like, "What are you coming in for?" And they're like, "It's my first time coming in a dispensary, and it's also my first time using weed." I was like, "You are the fastest," and I said, "Right now you are the fastest growing segment besides Gen Z women in cannabis right now, retirees, 55 and older." And I said, "Welcome to your new experience, and I hope you enjoy everything you learn, try, taste, have fun with it. This is your cannabis journey." And they were looking at me like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
We just want a fucking
I was
joint.
trying to be nice.
Weirdo.
You know, so then they had some questions. They're like, she wanted to try edibles. She didn't want to try. So I talked about smoking. I talked about tinctures, bombs. I talked about edibles. I talked about concentrates, a little bit, vaping and stuff like that. You know, I said, well, "What did you want to try?" Like, "We're interested in some edibles." I said, "Okay, well, what?" She goes, "I need something for appetite. I need something that's going to make me hungry." And I just started laughing. I said, "You should just buy a joint and hang out with Mrs Weedman. You'd be all good." And I said, "But," she goes, "I want to try an edible." I said, "Okay, the first rule with edibles is start low and go slow. You can always move forward. You can never go back." So she goes, I said, "There's a really good cannabinoid out there besides THC that'll help with your appetite, and that's CBC. And I said, also good for brain health and keeps you younger." She started laughing. Her husband started laughing. And I said, "Try that. And if you've never tried edibles before," I said, "Okay, one for one, this is not the 60s. If you had tried weed in the 60s, it's a little bit different than today." I said, "Take that edible and cut it in half," because it was a 10 milligram, and I think it was 5 milligrams. It was a ratio 10 to 5, 1 to 5 or 5 to 1. One or the other. And and she goes, "Okay." I said, "But now here's the other thing you have to understand. It might take 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour and a half. Depends on your metabolism." And I gave her the whole lowdown, how I digest, blah, 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 blah. So they walked out. They went inside to the dispensary. She came walking out with a little bag holding her little bag in front of her, all smiles. Her husband was just like, "Okay, what is this all about?"
Like my silly wife. She just wants to try weed, making me do it.
And they were very, very nice. And I just saw them walking out, and she was all smiles with her little bag holding it. Yeah, just holding her bag like this, and just like
so
two
cute.
hands and walking out. I should have. I told her about the podcast, so I don't know if they'll listen or not. But I said, education is key with cannabis, especially in the beginning. So there's a bunch of good cannabis podcasts out there. Listen to all of them if you like podcast. And I hope she listens and she hears this episode. And I don't remember their names. I don't even think I got their names. And now she's in our show. So hopefully she listens and she laughs because it was a good. I love educating people. This is one of our 4 mission statements: is education. It's key. Learning, always reading, always getting knowledge about cannabis because it's forever changing. The plant stays the same.
Yeah, everything around it is always shifting.
Always shifting. New to cannabis, here's how to start your journey safely and effectively. If you never tried cannabis or you've tried a little but feel overwhelmed, this one's for you. The Few State crew emphasizes asking questions, doing the homework, and not rushing in. Cannabis isn't one size fits all. Your body, your mind, your vibe, they all matter. They start by pointing out the basics: dosage, strain type, method of consumptions, environment. All of these change the game. What works for one might send another over the edge. So let's start with legality and quality. First rule: buy from licensed dispensaries. That came from what I read. I'm going to tell you, if you have a good home grower that you know and you trust, or somebody that's been growing for 20 years and in the traditional market, you know them, you trust them, they know their strains, they know their genetics, they know everything they put in it, support them too. Support your local grower, as it says on Ralph Wiley's shirt. So, if you're in a legal state, this matters. You want lab-tested products. You want verification for pesticides, microbes, heavy metals, residual solvents, safe consumption. Don't gamble with your health. I just read an article. I forgot what state it was. I think it was Pennsylvania or Massachusetts. They listed the pesticides that were legal to use in your grow. I know, but it's still kind of like,
right.
I don't. It's just like, oof. I don't want no pesticide weed.
Period. Right.
Especially with vapes, edibles, concentrates, this stuff can sneak in nasty additives. The article mentions vitamin E acetate as one example of what's gone wrong when the regulations aren't followed. So ask questions. Talk to your bud tender. Talk to people that are educated. Listen to cannabis podcast, educational ones especially. Your bud tender should know their plants. They should know what's in their shop. They should know what's on their shelves. If they don't, or if what you feel is off, stop and switch, or find someone better, or pull out your phone and read. You have the right to clarity. What strain is this? What's the THC CBD content? How will this likely hit me? Flower edible tincture. What's the onset time, duration, side effects? Don't be shy. It's part of your journey. It's not a flex to know. It's self-respect. You heard me say this 1,000 times. You're going to hear me 1,000 times. Say it again more. Start low and go slow. This may be the most famous advice for a reason. Start low, go slow. Microdose if you can. You try a tincture. Start with just a few milligrams. Try something small. See how you feel. If it's too mild, increase gradually. Not by doubling. Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. Also write it down, especially in the beginning when you're learning and starting your journey. What you need, what you used, how much, how you felt, how long it lasted. The way you track your path without guesswork. Keeps the surprise good, not bad. Different products, different experiences though. Cannabis comes in many forms. Flower, edibles, concentrates, tinctures, etc., etc. Each has its timeline, length, and onset rhythm. An edible can sneak up on you. Flower gives you more immediate feedback. Concentrates can be heavier. Try different things, always with a low and slow. Don't expect every product to feel the same. Keep environment consistent. Same time, same mood, same setting. So you can tell what's really changing product-wise. Environment, mindset, and context. You all know this already in the Chronicles. Your mindset and setting matter hard. Trying cannabis is chaotic or uncomfortable place. You can bet they'll play into how your experiences. If you feel safe, calm with people you trust, the experience tends to be smooth. This article hints at this indirectly, how experience is personal and surroundings affect your journey. I love hash, but I love smoking hash at home. More so when I'm out, like doing rips, dabs, stuff like that. I don't mind doing a dab pen or something like that. But at home is where I like to smoke my hash, or at somebody's house. I don't like going out in public and
I
smoking
don't like
hash.
taking all the equipment out.
I'd
rather just have a
joint.
joint. Yeah. Or a one hitter.
Right. The wrap up, key take homes from Weedman. Here's the distilled wisdom. Do your research, know your laws, know your product, buy lab tested. Be selective with purchase, licensed venues. Some good advice. Start with small doses, go slow, microdose if possible. Try different consumption forms to see which fits you and your experience, your journey for your love of cannabis. Keep a record, stay aware of what you're doing and how it makes you feel. Create a safe, calm environment. Setting and mindset are part of the medicine. If you're just stepping into the world, you gotta walk, not run. Every experience is a teacher. The more mindful you are, the more you'll get from it. Good lessons, good vibes. No regrets, Mrs. Weedman. We have a plastic problem in this world.
Do we ever?
There's more plastic in the ocean than I think there is in garbage fills right now. I mean, this is just bad shit. So, and we've talked about cannabis and how we can do better with packaging and all that kind of stuff. So pot has a plastic problem. How can cannabis truly go green, Mrs. Weedman? Tell us about it.
Yes. Well, it's no secret that the cannabis industry is booming, but so is its plastic packaging problem. So how exactly do we address pot's plastic problem? Browse the shelves of the average dispensary, and you will quickly notice nearly every edible, flower, and vape product comes packaged in plastic. Glossy bags, thick jars, hard tubes, plastic is everywhere. As cannabis legalization continues to pass in the United States, medicinal pot is now legal in 48 out of 50 states, with 24 states having legalized it recreationally to date. As legal availability expands, so does the influx of new products and their packaging, adding to the growing wave of plastic pollution. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Not all cannabis brands rely on plastic. Some companies package primarily in glass, paper, cardboard, or other non-toxic and biodegradable materials. However, the majority of cannabis brands do package their products in plastic, leaving room for creative solutions, innovation, and industry-wide reform. We'll address the root of the problem, the issues it causes, and some solutions to the pot industry's growing problem. It's our dream for the cannabis industry to be plastic-free. At The Woods, we believe the health of our community is inseparable from the health of our environment. As an industry rooted in nature and wellness, cannabis should be using packaging that reflects those same values, said Woody Harrelson, co-founder of The Woods WeHo. WeHo? I don't know. And he is also a Plastic Pollution Coalition notable member. Why is the cannabis industry's reliance on plastic packaging such bad news? Well, for starters, plastic never goes away, and 98% of plastics are derived from fossil fuels. About 40% of all plastics are used just one time before being trashed, earning them the single-use designation. Without serious intervention, plastic production is expected to triple by 2060. Oh. In 2020, a study out of the Toronto Metropolitan University estimated that the Canadian weed industry generated over 5.6 million units of cannabis packaging in a month for dried cannabis alone. Just flower. In the U.S.,
we should be mandated to use biodegradable hemp products.
In the U.S., measuring the pot industry's total plastic packaging pollution is more difficult due to a patchwork of state-by-state legalization. However, it's likely even higher than Canada. It's higher than Canada due to being a larger market in states like California, Colorado, Michigan, and even Missouri. a root cause of pot's plastic packaging problem is regulation. Cannabis packaging falls under several strict regulations, which vary by state. These regulations prevent tampering, require childproofing, odor reduction, and measures that ensure the freshness of cannabis products while avoiding issues like mold growth. According to Newsweek, Kyle Sherman, founder and CEO of FlowHub, agreed that rigid compliance packaging requirements contribute to pot's plastic problem. He said plastic packaging from pre-rolls, flower jars, vape cartridges, and edibles makes up a bulk of the pollution. Cannabis producers often rely on single-use plastic containers to meet regulatory requirements. Containers are thick-walled and non-recyclable, with pre-rolls and vape carts often packaged in a hard plastic tube and nugs of flour inside a jar with a cardboard box sealed in plastic. Ugh. While edibles and flour often come in resealable, thick plastic bags. Add to this the rapid growth of the industry with millions of products sold annually, and the result is enormous. Fast-growing streams of cannabis-related plastic pollution. Plastics are cheaper, and they can boost profits in the short term, but this is only an artificial cheap. It's only artificially cheap, because plastic has serious costs to human and environmental health. According to experts, plastics cost at least $1.5 trillion in global deaths and injuries each year. Plastics? Harming people from before they are born through old age. Plastics are manufactured with more than 16,000 chemicals.
Jeez.
4,200 of which are known to be hazardous and have been linked to numerous serious health problems, from cancers to heart disease, infertility, and more. Many of the chemicals in plastic and plastic itself are attracted to fats and oils. So are THC and CBD, two key chemicals in cannabis. So storing cannabis or cannabis products in plastic packaging, including aluminum cans coated in plastic, can diminish the THC and CBD content as these chemicals cling to plastic. And this also means plastic chemicals are likely leaching into your cannabis.
You should all check
I've got some good jars.
You should
Go
all
to
check it out.
8decades.com.
You stole my mo.
Sorry. We have mirror and violet glass. It's imported from the Netherlands.
Yes.
And it's pretty.
Yes.
And it's functional.
Yes.
And it's sustainable.
Yes.
And you put your good weed in it.
Preach it, Mrs. Weedman.
And it stays good. So check them out. You can also check out cannacon.org for an active list of marijuana regulations across states, which reflects the wide variety of packaging laws in place. Some other interesting finds on their site include a list of states with regulations for child-resistant packaging, packaging resembling commercial food-grade products being banned in a large number of states, bare containers being required for packaging in Florida and New Hampshire, packaging that must clearly indicate tampering in over a dozen states. And so all of these things just stack the cost and the amount of waste, because you have to add a sticker, so there's tamper evidence. You have to have child-proof lids, so those are heavier and bulkier. You can't have labeling on the jar, so then you have to have a box to put it in, because you have to have a label on something. And it's like, it's
kind of crazy that liquor and cigarettes don't have that issue.
They have nothing.
No child-proof nothing.
Nothing.
You know?
Right. Yeah. A bottle of booze that could kill somebody.
My parents used to leave their bottle of booze in the corner of the floor when we lived in New York.
Doesn't have a child-proof lid.
Right. They had a bar, a little china cabinet, and the liquor was always on the side there.
Yeah.
I could have went anytime I wanted and just started taking rips.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what my dad's weed was too, but I stayed out of that. I mean, I went and smelled it, but I stayed out of that as a young kid.
Well, that was good.
The booze?
You might have had a little sip every once in a while.
Once in a while. I saw that Seagram 7. Man, took a little nipper when I had like toothache or something.
While these regulations are designed to protect consumers, especially children, they have led to an unintentional consequence, an industry reliant on single-use plastic for the sake of cost effectiveness. But they don't inherently mean that plastic must be used as a choice of packaging material. However, the industry has currently shifted heavily toward plastic for the sake of convenience and cost, while there's an opportunity for other materials to be used. So, yeah, we always say, buy a couple jars, get your stuff out of the bad packaging into good packaging, and store it this way until you consume it. The way our dispensary is, unfortunately, you can't bring your jar in and ask them to fill it. That would be wonderful, but we don't have that.
Wonderful.
So you do have to buy it. I mean, there's no way around it. If you're buying from a dispensary, you're going to have to deal with the packaging, but you can recycle. So pay attention to recycling rules on the packaging you get and be conscientious of it and put it in the right bin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you done?
I'm done preaching.
Oh, you're done preaching?
Yep.
Damn, I was liking it too. Political, state, and business news. A fresh NBC SurveyMonkey poll asked Americans if cannabis legalization is good or bad or neutral for society. Turns out 44% said neither good nor bad. 29% said it's all good. 27% said bad. Gen Z, 45% neutral, 33% good. Society's kind of chill, but leaning optimistic. Feds admit those roadside cannabis tests are unreliable, even after legalization. They're saying the tools cops use can't accurately tell if someone is truly impaired, just that cannabis was in their system. Big deal because wrongful stops or charges can happen. Proof that legalization doesn't mean that science is fully there yet. Cannabis is struggling a little bit here. Price drops, inflation, taxes. That's the 280E pain. No access to normal financing. State-level receiverships. Court-appointed managers are stepping in as a lifeline, preserving value, restructuring debt, and even saving jobs. These distressed sales could be the fresh start many need. Rip up that bad, bring in the good, keep the lights on. The DOJ is axing dozens of pending marijuana and hemp rules, stuff about expanding research, easing hemp lab testing, even proposed changes tied to its rescheduling. It's part of the deregulatory initiative, but folks are scratching heads, especially since some canceled rules are based on laws already passed. U.S. cannabis companies with foreign branches might lean on Chapter 15 bankruptcy, a law for cross-border insolvencies. Since federal law blocks traditional bankruptcy tools, Chapter 15 could let them restructure abroad and get U.S. recognition. Could be a lifeline if the plant-touching assets are minimized. Missouri activists just filed 4 versions of the 2026 ballot initiative aiming to unify hemp and marijuana regulations. The plan: no license caps, no purchases limits, and a streamlined system like alcohol or tobacco. The goal is to replace rigid constitutional rules with flexible laws lawmakers can tweak. If it passes, Missouri can lead with a single fair cannabis market. Smoke break. Texas Governor Greg Abbott just signed an executive order tightening up THC rules. The order bans THC sales to minors, mandate ID checks for all buyers, and enforces stricter labeling and testing requirements. Retailers violating these rules risk losing their permits. Abbott's goal: safety for kids, freedom for adults. The Texas Department of State Health Services and the Alcoholic Beverage Commissions are now tasked with implementing these changes. The House just voted to expand marijuana waivers for military recruits who test positive for THC. The amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, directs the Department of Defense to develop a program allowing potential enlistants to reapply for enlistment after a positive THC test. The Army and Navy have already implemented such systems, and now the Air Force, Space Force, and Marine Corps are encouraged to follow suit. The move aims to address ongoing recruitment and retention challenges within the armed forces. The amendment passed without debate as part of the larger en bloc package. New York's cannabis market just went big league. Total sales have now surpassed $2.9 billion, with over $1.6 billion racket just up this year. The state's Cannabis Control Board recently awarded 46 new adult-use cannabis licenses, with 69% going to social and economic equity applicants. Plus, they have launched a youth-focused cannabis education advisory panel to keep the community informed and engaged. Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen just told the state's Medical Cannabis Commission to cap cultivators at 1,250 flowering plants. This guy really doesn't want cannabis at all in his state. He says without limits, we could see a black market boom. What? They're not going to go out the back door and sell their weed. The commission's aiming to license just 4 cultivators. Great. With applications due by September 23rd. but some advocates are worried this will starve the program before it even starts. Yeah, he don't want it. Nebraskans, he does not want it. He's doing whatever he can to stop this shit. La Crosse County, Wisconsin, board members are proposing a $1 fine for minor marijuana possessions. I'll buy that for $1. The initiative aims to decriminalize small amounts of cannabis and reduce the burden of criminal justice system. The proposal is currently under consideration and could pave the way for progress cannabis policies in the region. The House Appropriations Committee just approved a spending bill urging researchers to study a broad range of marijuana strains and better represents the variety, quality, and potency of common available cannabis products. The move aims to ensure federal research reflects the actual cannabis consuming are using. And now over to Mrs. Weedman.
I've got more continued political, state, and business news.
Yes, you do.
Starting off with Michigan's Cannabis Regulatory Agency. They are reaching out to lawmakers for help managing the state's marijuana industry. Despite legalizing adult use cannabis in 2019, the market is still relatively new and facing challenges. The agency is seeking support to address issues such as black market growth. Lawmakers are being urged to provide assistance to ensure effective regulation and oversight of the industry. The GOP-led House Appropriations Committee just passed a spending bill blocking the Justice Department from rescheduling marijuana. This move prevents the DOJ from using federal funds to change cannabis's classification, that is, under the Controlled Substances Act. While the bill continues protections for state medical cannabis programs, it also introduces stricter penalties for sales near schools and parks. This marks the second time the committee has included such provisions in its legislation. The Trump administration's Make Our Children Healthy Again initiative, led by RFK Jr., is launching an educational campaign to warn about marijuana's impact on youth health. U.S. Surgeon General Denise Hinton is set to lead the effort, which also involves the FDA and the ATF. The campaign aims to raise awareness about the effects of THC, alcohol, and vaping in children. Sounds like a DARE program?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maryland's, I thought they stopped the DARE program.
They did, but I know they want to start something up like
new.
that again. Yeah.
Maryland's Attorney General has declared that certain hemp-derived psychoactive substances like Delta-8 THC are now illegal. This move aims to regulate products that have been sold with minimal oversight, raising concerns about consumer safety. The decision has sparked debates among industry stakeholders and lawmakers about how to balance innovation with regulation. New York's cannabis scene just got a facelift. The Office of Cannabis Management rolled out fresh rules, including stricter potency caps of 15% THC for flower and 25% for other products. Also, a recent court ruling nixed the state's extra priority system, favoring in-state applicants with marijuana convictions, citing the Dormant Commerce Clause. Plus, some dispensaries are getting a break on school distance rules. California, their cannabis excise tax is rolling back to 15% on October 1st. This move comes after a 19% hike in July, which had many in the industry feeling the pinch. The rollback is part of AB 564, aiming to ease the tax burden on cannabis businesses and consumers. Revolution Brewing's new THC-infused drink, Reverb.
Local brewery here in Chicago.
They are shaking up the scene. While beer sales dipped about 5.5% this summer, Reverb's launch across Illinois and Wisconsin has helped offset the slowdown, especially at their Avondale tap room. Priced at $18.99 for a six-pack, these hemp-based drinks are quicker to produce and cater to the growing demand for non-alcoholic options. It's a move that's catching the attention of both consumers and other breweries. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA, recently hosted Kevin Sabet from Smart Approaches to Marijuana for the webinar discussing cannabis use trends and youth prevention. The session focused on potential negative impacts of state legalization and methods of deterring youth usage. However, some experts argue that the claims made lacked sufficient data to support the assertions presented. Misinformation being spread. Go figure. All right. Cannabis-infused beverages are bubbling up in the market, raking in over $1.1 billion in the United States in 2024 alone. These THC and CBD drinks are gaining popularity as a low-calorie, alcohol-free alternative. With a variety of flavors and effects, they're becoming a go-to choice for consumers seeking a mellow buzz without a hangover. The trend is reshaping the beverage industry, offering a new way to unwind. New Hampshire lawmakers are pushing forward with marijuana legalization bills, despite Governor Kelly Ayottes' opposition and anticipated Senate resistance. Republican Jared Sullivan emphasized the importance of standing firm, stating, "Let them be the ones who are pissing off the voters who care about this." The bill's sponsor aims to keep the conversation alive, even if the measure faces challenges ahead.
Wow.
And Arkansas. Medical marijuana sales reached $193 million, $193 million in 2025.
So far. Only medical there.
Yeah. Big win for you.
Yeah.
And that's it, Mr. Weedman, passing it back.
Thank you. Thanks for passing that joint back. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is pushing to regulate Delta-8 THC products, aiming to restrict state and licensed dispensaries. The move comes after concerns of unregulated products resembling candy, which have been linked to health issues. While some lawmakers support the bill, others include Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, argue it could harm small hemp businesses and reduce tax revenue. The debate continues as lawmakers weigh the potential impact on the industry and public health. A barrel containing approximately 19 pounds of marijuana washed ashore in the 1500 block of Beach Proper South in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Local authorities secured the barrel and are investigating its origin. The public is urged not to touch it. Ooh. The House Homeland Security Subcommittee is diving into the hearing titled Invasion of the Homeland, how China is using illegal marijuana to build criminal networks across America. Scheduled for Thursday, September 18th, the session aims to explore alleged Chinese involvement in illicit cannabis operations. While details are scarce, the hearing underscores ongoing concerns about foreign influences in the U.S. marijuana market. Senate President Nick Scutari is backing Congresswoman Mickey Shirelli's gubernatorial bid with some bold cannabis reform ideas. He's endorsing a legal one-plant home grow system. Jersey, come on now. Highly regulated, of course. Highly regulated. And a state-run bank to help cannabis entrepreneurs access financial services. That's cool. Scrutatory also supports federal descheduling of marijuana, aiming to reduce the underground market and boost the industry's legitimacy. While Governor Phil Murphy term limit, this could be a game changer for Jersey's cannabis landscape. And the world of cannabis cultivation data is no longer just a buzzword. It's a secret sauce to success. Modern growers are moving beyond guesswork, using structured data to track nutrients, irrigation, environmental factors, and operational metrics. The approach helps standardize practices, reduce waste, and improve compliance, ultimately leading to better yields and quality. Embracing data transforms cultivation from a reactive process into a scalable system. Cannabis PR isn't a shortcut to credibility. It's about strategy, storytelling, and relevance. Brands often chase prestige over impact, creating any media coverage as a win, even if it's irrelevant to the audience. True PR success aligns with business goals, focusing on outlets your consumers and investors actually read. Remember, hype grabs attention, but strategy builds trust. I thought that was a good line. In northern New Mexico, Albuquerque, Cannabis Corp is suing the state for $442,000 after a historic irrigation mishap flooded their farm with E. coli, tainted water. The incident wiped out 850 plants and hundreds of pounds of cannabis just as they were entering the flowering stage. The lawsuit highlights the risk of blending century-old infrastructure with modern cannabis cultivation. Rhode Island is opening a $120 million cannabis market to new retailers for the first time since adult use legalization. The Cannabis Control Commission is accepting applications for up to 24 new retail licenses through December of 2025. That's pretty good. California cannabis market is cruising with over $250 million in sales for Q2 2025. Despite a slight dip from in Q1, the industry remains a robust revenue engine. A coalition of city rights and drug policy groups, including the ACLU, is urging Congress to support Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment Expungement, the MORE Act. This bill would deschedule cannabis federally. expunge past convictions, and promote equity in the cannabis industry. The MORE Act has passed the House twice before stalled in the Senate. Advocates are pushing for renewed momentum this season. Drug driving is now one of the most dangerous road hazards in the U.S., with cannabis use contributing to impaired driving incidents. In Arizona, cannabis patients cannot be convicted solely based on THC presence, but prosecutors can still argue impairment. Public awareness and policy response continue to lag behind, highlighting the need for increased education and enforcement to address this growing concern. You're about to read one of my favorite writers, and one day I swear we'll have Reginald Reefer on the show. One day, if Reginald is ever passing through Chicago, I got pizza too, Reginald. If you want to have some good Southside Chicago pizza, that's how we start the show. Before we start the show, any guest gets pizza from me. So the social story of cannabis, the narrative to hook, reel that in, a president into doing the right thing. Tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
Yeah, something happened. My stories are out of order.
Uh-oh.
Hang on. Just talk to me for a minute.
Talk to you? I could talk to you.
Yeah, I got the green going green. The cannabis and
you already read that?
I think I screwed something up. Hold on, Mr. Weedman.
You finding it okay here? So anyway.
Yep.
Hickory dickory dock.
The mouse went up the clock. Hey, the social story of cannabis is here.
You got it.
The narrative to hook a president into doing the right thing. While cannabis in its essence is just a plant, attached to it are perspectives and internal narratives that shape our societal relationship with it. If you are an extreme conservative Puritan, you might see it as evil, a dangerous drug that destroys one's soul. If you're a regular human being, you'll likely see it as a plant that, if consumed in a variety of manners, will have psychophysical effects on an individual. The reason we have such wild and divergent views is because there are narratives around the plant that exist and are reinforced by the powers that be. As I've written previously, the government isn't particularly fond of cannabis and often utilizes it as a political weapon, a pawn in a much larger game of control and influence. Then there's the pro-cannabis folk who spin the narrative in their favor, advocating for its benefits perhaps a bit too enthusiastically at times. And sitting underneath this mountain of story is a simple plant that's been on this planet longer than we have, quietly existing while humans argue about what it means. The social narrative around cannabis has always been in flux, shifting with political winds, cultural movements, and economic interests. But recently, I have noticed a fascinating trend. While more states legalize and public acceptance grows, there's been a curious uptick in negative press and dubious studies making the rounds in mainstream media. This dichotomy points to a growing diversion between those in power and the will of the people. Today, we're diving into the social story of cannabis, how these narratives are created, who benefits from them, how they change over time, and what that means for the plant's future in our society. Because sometimes understanding the story is just as important as understanding the plant itself. Cannabis has accumulated many names over its long relationship with humanity. Marijuana, weed, pot, grass, ganja, reefer, dope, the list goes on. Each name carries its own connotation, its own history, and often its own baggage. Marijuana itself was popularized in America specifically to associate the plant with Mexican immigrants and stoke racist fears. The term you use often reveals when you came of age, your cultural background, or even your political leanings. But when we strip away all of the labels and the prejudices, what are we left with? A plant. A simple plant that produces seeds, which can be placed in dirt, given water and sunshine, and will produce a flower. Depending on the type of cannabis plant, you can derive up to 50,000 uses from it, from textiles and building materials to medicine and recreation. It's a plant that's been around since we first started building societies, and probably one of the first crops cultivated by humankind. Archaeological evidence suggests cannabis has been used by humans for at least 12,000 years. Hemp fiber imprints have been found on pottery dating back to ancient China. The plant's seeds were used as food, its stalks for fiber, and its flowers for medicinal and spiritual purposes across ancient civilizations, from India to Egypt to Greece. Yet, this plant medicine teacher, as some indigenous cultures have referred to it, does something that makes those in power uncomfortable. It makes people less complacent to the status quo. Those altered states of consciousness, the questioning of established norms, the community building among users, these aspects have long made cannabis a target for those who prefer a more docile population. And so they've worked diligently to erase the rich history of cannabis and humankind, demonizing it with manipulated data and fear campaigns. I've watched every political party in the United States and every president utilize it to sway votes, make empty promises, and ultimately avoid significant reform. Cannabis legalization sounds good on the campaign trail, but the vast majority of actual reform in the United States has come from individual states deciding to end the madness on their own. Just look at the current landscape. We have nearly 40 states with medical cannabis programs and around half with adult use legalization. Yet federally, it remains Schedule I substance with no currently accepted medical use and high potential for abuse. Looking at today's climate, it seems states will need to continue this fight for the foreseeable future. Unless, of course, someone can appeal to the right people's egos, which brings us to the next topic, an attempt to hook a president. A recent ad from cannabis industry-funded political action committee, the American Rights and Reform PAC, highlights perfectly the nature of narrative manipulation in the cannabis space. In their advertisement, they appear to former President Trump's campaign promises about making America healthy again and call out Biden's administration's supposed war on medical cannabis. The narrative is insanely biased and slanted. The ad conveniently omits that it was Biden who initiated the federal review to reschedule cannabis to Schedule III, even though that process stalled, while giving Trump credit for being some kind of champion for patient rights. This implementation of narrative jujitsu is fascinating to watch. I've seen this game played from both sides of the aisle for years. Democrats promise legalization but deliver half measures. Republicans rail against federal overreach but won't champion descheduling. However, I'm not seeing any significant movement from the federal government concerning cannabis reform. On the contrary, I'm beginning to see a lot of negative studies, with dubious claims being promoted on all major news outlets. Suddenly, we're hearing more about dangerous cannabis products, dangerous potency levels, cannabis-induced psychosis, and other fear-based messaging that feels straight out of the 1980s playbook.
Oh, yeah.
This is a clear attempt to hijack the current narrative and sway public opinion. But the question remains, will it really have any effect? Several generations have now grown up under a more pro-cannabis ideology, and many parents today consume cannabis themselves, more than you might think. The cat is out of the bag, and these negative narratives, the final desperate grasps of a dying prohibitionist system, or are they opening gunfire in a revamped war on drugs? The corporate interests behind the American Rights and Reform PAC clearly think they can use the movement for their own benefit, but will everyday cannabis users follow along? At the end of the day, don't expect anyone to hand you your freedom. It is earned through persistent effort and vigilance. While the narratives on a social scale might shift with political winds and corporate interests, those who understand the history of cannabis and the war on drugs will not be easily swayed. Most people now favor cannabis legalization, and despite the regime attempting to alter that trajectory, I don't think these renewed fear campaigns will have a major effect. However, how long until the war on cannabis is truly over? There is definitely a concerted effort to derail the progress made over the past decade, and right now everything feels uncertain. The pendulum of public opinion and policy has swung toward acceptance, but pendulums have a way of swinging back when we least expect it. What I do know is that irrespective of what happens on the big scale in Washington, D.C., in corporate boardrooms, or in media narratives, it's what each and every one of us do on the small scale that really matters. Your personal relationship with this plant, the conversations you have with it, about it with friends and family, the voting choices you make, the businesses you support, these individual actions collectively shape the broader social story. Your freedom is always yours, even if the law hasn't caught up yet. Cannabis has survived thousands of years of human civilization, weathered countless prohibitions, and will continue to grow long after the current political players have left the stage. The plant abides, friends, and so shall we.
Yes.
Yes.
He has a welcome. I would love to get baked original reefer and just listen and learn.
Uh-huh.
International news. Robert Hoban's latest Forbes article explores global cannabis legalization through case studies from Canada, Germany, Latin America, and Africa. He highlights diverse regulatory models, export ambitions, and the challenges of aligning public health with market growth. Hoban emphasizes the importance of international collaboration and policy evolution to foster a sustainable global cannabis industry. Morocco is making major moves in the cannabis industry, approving 67 new cannabis-based products, 26 cosmetic, and 41 dietary supplements. The market is a significant step in transitioning from an informal market to a regulated system. The National Agency of Regulation of Cannabis Activities has conducted over 2,200 inspections to ensure compliance with the national laws and quality standards. Thailand's new Prime Minister, Anutin Charnvirakul, dubbed a cannabis king, is back in power after a turbulent political period. He previously led the push to decriminalize cannabis in 2022, making Thailand the first Asian country to remove cannabis from the narcotics list. His return raises hopes for stability and clearer cannabis policies, potentially boosting the country's $1.2 billion industry. Nigeria's National Assembly is drafting a bill to legalize cannabis for medicinal, and industrial use. Former Senator Anthony Chu, who previously sponsored a similar bill, describes cannabis as green gold and warns Nigeria is missing a multi-trillion naira opportunity. He highlights the global cannabis market projected to $100 billion value and urges the government to act swiftly. Achu, God bless you, emphasizes the potential benefits of legalization, including job creation, foreign investment, and alternative treatments for chronic conditions. Clemens Fisher, owners of Ventricle, the Munich-based pharmaceutical company, pharma billionaire, is developing a cannabis-based painkiller aimed at replacing opioids. Interesting. Germany's cannabis legalization is proving that many suspected safer access reduces reliance on the illicit market. Since April 2024, over 88% of consumers have shifted to legal sources of like pharmacies, licensed associations, and home cultivation. That's crazy. Europe cannabis industry is booming, but the U.S. is still stuck in the red tape. While European companies expand, American cannabis remains federally restricted, creating a fragmented market. Rescheduling cannabis could streamline regulations, attract international investments, and faster global collaboration. However, without consistent federal policies, the U.S. risks falling behind in the global cannabis space. A recent UK survey reveals that 80% of the NHS doctors would prescribe medical cannabis if they were part of the NHS toolkit. That's cool. Here's a quick update from the Netherlands. A Rotterdam court has ruled that the elder, a licensed cannabis grower, must address the strong odor emanating from the 32,000 square feet greenhouse. Over 2,000 complaints from residents led to this decision. The company has 1 week to implement measures to reduce the smell or face fines of up to $3.5 million. It's a breathe easy moment for the community. New Brunswick cannabis industry is booming, generating $1.1 billion in annual sales. The Providence hybrid retail model, combining public and private sectors, has fostered competition and innovation. Creates jobs, boosting tourism, contributing significantly to the local economy. There's some challenges as licensing requirements and zoning restrictions remain. The growth is creating jobs, boosting tourism, and contributing significantly to the local economy. However, challenges such as licensing requirements and zoning restrictions remain. And that's international news, everybody. And Mrs. Weedman is going to finish it off with some slang words for weed. Here's some ways to say cannabis.
Yeah. The cannabis plant is and has been a hot topic around the world, and people have only come up with more slang for weed. Still, though, many don't know a ton about it. Between the constant fear-mongering from the government and health PSAs around high-potency pot, many are scared of marijuana and its possible effects, especially parents. With the legalization of medical marijuana in almost every state, however, and the increase in support for recreational use, we are only going to be seeing more of it. Despite this rise in popularity of the plant, online censorship has stayed consistent, causing many to adopt nicknames for marijuana that only those in the know can decipher. We're sure you've heard the basics: weed, pot, maybe even stoned here and there. Still, though, there is so much common slang for cannabis included in our daily life that it's hard to keep up with it. To make it easier for you to avoid a sticky situation around unknowingly being asked to smoke, or simply to learn to decode the foreign language that your stoner friends seem to speak, we've compiled an extensive list of marijuana slang terms that you might want to know. Slang for weed. Depending on where you are, people will be more or less cryptic about their cannabis use. And over the years, stoners everywhere have gotten creative with the aliases. Here's a few: weed, pot, ganja, Mary Jane, skunk, grass, hash, chronic, za, bud, dope, reefer, kush. Whew. Now that we've got that out of the way, we have to cover the different ways people enjoy weed, like a blunt, a joint, a spliff.
I like the spliff.
I like a spliff. I like a joint. Mm-hmm. Contrary to popular belief, those words are not synonyms. And there's a few more consumption methods: bongs, dabbing, edibles. People love to talk about smoking, especially in places they're not supposed to. If you've ever asked a weed lover what they're doing on 420, look out for these words: blazing, toking, taking a hit, hotboxing, gardening. So, what happens after someone's taken a few hits of a joint or ate an edible? Here's some slang for feeling high. They're high, they're baked, stoned, zooted, faded, blasted. You have any others?
Just straight old fucked up.
Couch locked. Yeah. Whether you're new to using cannabis, have found yourself around an enthusiastic group of pot lovers, or you want to know what your kids are up to on the weekends, this list should provide you with some of the framework to identify when someone's talking about weed and what exactly they mean they want to do. Hope it helps.
That's some slang.
That's some slang.
Some slang. Mm-hmm. Something sad happened. A 1970s folk singer behind the iconic Cannabis hit dies at 84. Tom Shipley, co-writer and singer of the 1970s hit One Toke Over the Line, has passed away at 84. As part of the folk rock duo Brewer and Shipley and Michael Brewer crafted the iconic tune, which became a symbol of the era's cannabis culture. The song blend of humor and social commentary made it a timeless classic. And one last thing I heard today when I was getting the show ready: Robert Redford died.
Yeah.
89.
Yeah.
My favorite movie from him is The Natural. One of my faves. He was so good in that movie. I mean, he played in a lot of really good movies, but that is my all-time favorite Robert Redford movie. So, Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
That's the end of the show.
It is.
Got anything else to say before we go?
Everybody have a fantastic week.
I love it. Hey, everybody out there in the world, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for listening to the show. I'd like to thank you for just being you. I'd like to thank Mrs. Weedman for helping me every week do this show. Appreciate you. Everybody out there, be kind to one another. Show some love. Give some hugs. Tell your wife, tell your husband, tell your partner, tell your kids you love them. We all need some love in this world. I love you out there. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.